Welcome to the video on tanker operations key actions. During the pre-fixing stage, the operations team requests all necessary fixing documents from the vessel's captain or the technical managers. After checking their validity and expiration date, they share them with the chartering team. It is also key to know the maximum quantity that the vessel can transport. The charterers provide the cargo specifications and a set of intended ports. The operator communicates to the captain the cargo density, which is expressed in units of mass per volume at a specific temperature. A common index of the density of crude oil or refined products is the API, which stands for American Petroleum Institute, and is measured in kilograms per metric ton. The products with lower API are usually very high in carbon content, high in viscosity, very thick, high in sulfur, and tend to be darker in nature. The water salinity, which refers to the concentration of salt in the load and discharge port water. A vessel has greater draft in freshwater than in brackish or saltwater. Assuming the same cargo, the higher salinity indicates the higher the mass that can be loaded. The draft restriction, if there is any, in the intended ports. The captain, based on these inputs, prepares a stowage plan to calculate the maximum quantity of a specific cargo type that the vessel can load, given specific port restrictions, as well as bunkers remaining on board. The tank's segregation also impacts the cargo stowage plan. Information on the tank's capacity and segregation specifics can be found in the vessel's Q88. The double valve segregation ensures that there is no possibility for cargo co-mingling during loading or discharging operations, as different cargo lines are used, while the single valve segregation indicates one valve between two tanks and a common line is used for both cargoes. Aframaxes usually have 3 segregations. Vessels with more segregations, such as chemical MRs whose tanks are all independent, can do parceling and thus carry small quantities of different cargoes that should be stored separately. The operator calculates the consumption for the intended voyage to assure that there are sufficient bunkers. In cooperation with the bunkering team, they plan the fuel procurement. The bunker planning process is described in detail in the video Bunker Planning. Once the negotiations are completed and the vessel is fully fixed, the operator forwards the recap of the charter party to the captain and the head owners and reviews the voyage orders, confirming that these are in line with the agreed terms prior sharing. Thereafter, the operator checks with the port agent for tank atmosphere restrictions and advises the captain on how to be load ready. The vessel should always have onboard sufficient fresh water for tank cleaning purposes. The primary purpose of tank cleaning in oil, product, and chemical tankers is to remove any residues of the most recent cargo from the vessel's containment systems, tanks, lines, pumps, in readiness for the next cargo. The operator advises based on industry standards. If freshwater is needed or seawater suffices. If only tank bottom or full tank cleaning is required. If gas-free cleaning and mopping should take place. Another key process to ensure adequate draft for vessel stability is the ballast water exchange, which should be completed prior to arriving at the load port, at least 200 nautical miles from the nearest land and always in waters with depth of at least 200 meters. To minimize transportation of biological organism among seas, modern vessels are equipped with a ballast water treatment system. The vessel should arrive at the loading port within the laycan in an optimal way, considering the speed and consumption. Upon arrival, the captain tenders a notice of readiness, which means that the vessel is ready in all aspects to load the agreed cargo. The operator should also appoint and pay the agent well in advance to enable a smooth turnaround. Once the cargo is loaded, the operator receives the bill of lading issued by the master as per charterer's instructions, stating details such as the type, quantity, and origination of the cargo, among others. In case the vessel intends to enter an excluded area presenting a perceived enhanced risk, there is an additional war risk premium issued by the vessel's protection and indemnity insurance. Upon completion of the loading procedure, which lasts around 1 to 2 days, depending on the quantity, cargo type, and pumping rate, the vessel is in laden steaming condition. From now onwards, operations have a critical role to make sure that the cargo will be transferred safely, on time, in line with the terms agreed. The operator advises the captain on speed, arranges the arrival at discharge port, monitors the temperature in case the cargo needs heating, as well as arranges any inspection if necessary. Upon arrival at the discharge port, the captain again tenders a notice of readiness, and the port agent provides the estimated time of berthing. Once discharging is completed, the dry tank certificate should be duly signed by the surveyor, and the operator starts preparing the vessel for her next cargo. This brings us to the end of the video on tanker operations key actions.